Yeah.
Morning. Is the music still going? I can't tell. We'll pretend it is.
Yeah, we I think we're all musiced out right now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Ergo Weekly AMA. I am your host, Dan Friedman. And with me, I have
Quality Extreme, remember? That's what you call me, Dan.
Oh, quality. Yeah, this is Quality Extreme. Also, Questionable Hats Extreme.
Yep. I'm wearing my fancy hat for everybody today.
Yeah. That would be really, cute if you're the 22-year-old girl. But anyway, it's adorable in a weird type of way. So now that QX has made it extremely awkward for all of us, once again, let's get on with it.
Let's do it. How's your week been, Dan?
Well, the week's been pretty plentiful. So we've been finishing up all the milestones for Rosen. So that's that's getting pushed ahead now for EVM. I believe they are also on the verge of significant milestones for Bitcoin. And we are also putting through a proposal into the Cardano Catalyst for doing a runes bridge. So Ergo Cardano runes. I think that's going to be really cool because, it'll bring the degen activity to Cardano and Ergo, open up the floodgates of whatever. It's another really good addition, I think. It's a popular thing right now. It'll be nice to have on Ergo and on Cardano, but mostly on Ergo because it'll give us some extra options to play with. So we're really looking forward to that. Now, QX, so Ergo hack, is that done or is that still going?
That starts tomorrow, Dan. I'm glad you mentioned it. We're very excited about it.
Right. That's right. It is tomorrow, isn't it? Now, funny
it is.
I mentioned that.
I know.
Yeah. So Ergo hack, getting ready for Ergo hack to get Ergo hacked. And actually, I have been talking to some parties about potentially coming in for extra bounties. I don't know if it's going to be for this Ergo hack, but potentially for the next one. I might be able to bring in some interested parties to put out extra bounties for extra Ergo hacking open source stuff. They like open source, they said, and they think we like open source too, right? We're an open source type of
just
place,
a little, Dan.
Yeah. That's what I heard. I heard this. So this is really good stuff. I'm really excited to be able to kind of bring this injection of activity into our mid synthesis. Of course,
yep.
Yes.
We just had an injection last night. A community member put quite a bit of ergs into the community vote raffle for Ergo Hack as the community prize. So Kushti had set a 500 erg raffle, and the idea was we are going to distribute it by the SIGs, get people to vote on it, and then reward the prizes for the Ergo Hack participants from the community. And somebody went in last night and donated over 8,000 ergs. So there's like 8,500 plus ergs in the community prize pool for Ergo Hack. So that's like, what's that? Brings it up to about 26,000, almost $30,000 with the Rosen prizes for this Ergo Hack, which is absolutely amazing. I think that might be the highest Ergo Hack prize reward.
I'm pretty sure it is the highest, because I remember like me and Joe did that thing where we put a few thousand into that. I forgot if it was erg or dollars. I think it was dollars. Anyway, but this one is definitely the highest one that I've seen so far. I might be mistaken, but I think this is the highest one. But we're trying to, I'm trying to get it even higher. I'm trying to get even more participation in this. So I think it'll be really, really cool. And I am kind of really into the whole cross-chain open source stuff. So these are all other EUTXO friendly ecosystems. that are interested in this, and yeah, so just really looking forward to kind of bringing that along when it happens. Also, what have we been talking about before we started talking about other stuff? We're talking about Rare Evo, right?
Yep, we were. That's coming up.
Right. So yeah, it's coming up, and we're gonna have yet another Ergo Island there. So where you
Are you
got
gonna
the
be able? Are you gonna be
six.
able to find a red couch, Dan?
Yeah, you can't sit on it though, or else you got to pay me. But
I know you didn't let me sit
I
on it
mean,
last time either.
no, you have to pay me. You.
No, that's always fun. That was fun at CNFT Con in Vegas last year. We had that whole block, Zengate, Blitz, Sigmanauts, and Mike was there from THC as well. A lot of fun. A lot of people coming by saying, "Oh, I've heard of Ergo, but I haven't heard more than just hearing about it," kind of thing. A lot of them, since it was CNFT Con, a lot of them were from Charles. They heard us. So it'll be nice it was nice then at least to say, oh yeah, well, here's a little bit more about Ergo. Here's what we have. Here's what we're doing. Oh, you have this. You have this full product already, like lending and those kind of things. And you can do this with NFTs, really. So a lot of discovery happens at those kind of things.
Yeah, and
So
Rare is going to be cross chain again. So I think they're also going to have VeChain there and a few other ecosystems. So I think it's going to be really cool just to kind of intermingle in different ecosystems and kind of bring people from other ecosystems to Ergo and vice versa, introduce some Ergo people to other ecosystems. I think it'll be really good. I mean, for the, mostly because I want to bring out people into Ergo.
are
Um,
you're going as Palmyra, Dan, not Zengate?
no, so this year actually, the Palm Economy is going to be joining. So the Web3 side of Palmyra.
That mean we'll see Sam there, or is it
Actually, no,
you
you
and
will not
Jeff?
see Sam there. You will see probably me and probably Brian Hero is going to be there. Um, do you know Brian?
I think it's a guy I
From
spoke to
It's a guy you spoke to.
yeah,
Yes, it's
yeah,
some guy you spoke to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we're the two of us are definitely going to be there. Might have some other uh, you know, Knights of the Order out there. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good event, really good event. I also like it that it's a different venue than before. It's going to be at Caesar's Palace. And I think Caesar's Palace is really close to Tacos El Gordo's, so that's always good. Um, yeah, I mean, look for me, Vegas is like two things, conferences and tacos. That's what I do in Vegas. I do conferences and tacos in Vegas.
Is that where you took? Where'd you take us that one the first time, first night there with the big meat post?
That was Tacos El Gordo's.
That was that. Okay, that was delicious, Dan. That was
Yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
the one with the long line, like the line for
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
different
out the
types.
door. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was El Gordo.
That's
Yeah, that
fantastic.
was
Yeah,
the
that was
one.
delicious.
Yeah, I kind of really want to try to do an Ergo meetup there. I mean, let's kind of talk about that. We'll see how many Ergonauts we're going to have
All right.
at the event. But I think Vegas would be good to have like an Ergo night.
I think I agree. I think Joe's coming up. He's trying to get some other people to come too,
Well, yeah,
from the
of course, Tim and
Snigs.
Rosen is going to be there.
Yep,
Rosen is
yep,
going to
yep.
be there. So you're going to have Rosen. You're going to have us. You're going to have the Sigma Nuts,
I think we got
the
Mark the Shark coming
Sigma
up.
Nuts, Sigma Nuts.
And then I think Austin was thinking about coming. So I think we're gonna have a good group of people there, Dan. It's gonna be.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think
Maybe
it's prime time for a meetup. I think you should rent out
DZ. Maybe he can bring me some more of that coffee. That would be nice.
I think Palm Economy should rent out the gambling floor of the casino we're at, and we'll just have fun.
I think no, but we'll talk about it. No, you can pay for that. Yeah, but anyway, we'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. So yeah, good stuff. Anyway, what have the Sigs been up to?
Sigs have been busy, as usual. Sunday meeting last week was fun. We had some new Sig cans in. As people may not know, There's no real barrier to being a SIGCAN. All you have to do is find a Sigmanaut and say, "Hey, I want to be in the SIGCAN program," and we'll bring you in, in that minute or when we have a free second. Or you can apply online. So we brought in, let's see, one, two, three, four SIGCANs this week, and hopefully they stick around long enough to want to become Sigmanauts, which come with voting rights and a DAO token. You can join that. So that was good. There's been a lot more talk about creating a token blacklist. So that Rustin, I think, got started on that. Essentially just an MD file on GitHub that is that anybody can put a request into so that you can kind of say, okay, this token is a scam token, this token is not suitable for work, those kind of things. And the hope is that we curate a good enough blacklist that the wallets will want to point to it. And then maybe the wallets can have, it'll not show the images of the blacklist tokens. Or I know in Cardano, some of the more custodial wallets have like scam, icons over the bad tokens and those kind of things. So we're trying to gear up towards that. And Echo for Ergo Explorer has implemented an API of known and not suitable for work or scam tokens as well that you can censor or warn about in his Ergo Explorer. So he's got that all set. And I think in his Explorer, you can, click them yourself if you want to suggest, or else he's working on that, if my memory serves. So there seems to be an effort around, not ending up with BBCs in your wallet if you don't want them. I mean, it's an open ecosystem. You do whatever the hell you want. I mean, there's no stopping anybody from doing anything. But for the people that do want to be kind of walled off from that, there may be some options that we can do that are opt-in for you, that are decentralized, as decentralized as we can make them, kind of thing. So there seemed to be some need for that. So that's one thing we were looking at. Let's see, what else were we doing? That's pretty much it. We're talking about perhaps investing some of our treasury tokens. Like we have a couple projects that have donated tokens, so we're looking at perhaps investing those back into the community somehow. Shaving a little bit off the top and bring them to Erg or SigUSD and investing them back into the ecosystem somehow. So we're looking at that. We're still building our Ergo Essentials sheet. I hope to finish that today. I really need to do a push on it because the SIGs need to make a decision. I want to, while we're here talking about related things, the Sky Harbor raffle is still up, guys, and I don't think. Let me check it out and see how far it is. So the Sky Harbor raffle is up. They're at 657 ergs of 8,000, and I can't stress. 7,000, 657 out of 7,000. I can't stress how important some of these things are, guys. I had a little rant in the SIGs chat the other day, and I'll give you the rant here. One of the things about Ergo ecosystem and Erg holders is that they're holders. All right, so they have Erg and they resist spending it, or they resist doing anything with it because they feel Erg is extremely precious. It's a finite source and it takes energy to create it. So of course, you get gold, you're going to hold on to that gold. You're going to be worried about spending it. But in my mind, for the success of the ecosystem, you got to start putting it out there and spending it on projects. If you like Cyberverse, join Cyberverse, buy a couple of pieces of furniture. If you have some ergs sitting around that are just sitting there, put them into duck pools in the SigUSD pool. Convert to SigUSD with the Token J Bank and put them into duck pools. Buy a couple Blitz TCG packs. Do all that stuff. It's hard for, I imagine it's hard for ecosystem projects to compete with just the pure thought of how valuable people think ergs are and holding on to them. So in my mind, there's a danger of starving out these projects. And this is just my opinion, guys. This is not anything official, of course. It's just my personal opinion. So unless we're spending ergs and supporting these projects as ecosystem users, then you hear complaints that, oh, this project is also opening up to Cardano, or this project is also, using Nervos, or this project is also going to go over here. Well, no shit. those chains are probably gonna, spend like crazy and utilize their product. So
I mean, no, I mean, that is a really good point, and you're absolutely right that ergonauts or erg holders are very, I see this quite a bit. I never sold a single erg. Now, you don't have to sell it, but you can spend it. Spending is not the same as selling. Spending is maintaining the ecosystem, because just sitting on it. So what are you going to sit on it for? I mean, you're sitting on it essentially to either just to have it for, I don't know, sentimental value, or to cash it out later into fiat. If you're not spending it, I mean, there's only two other options: to never spend it on anything, or to cash it out into fiat. Like, what else would there be, really? What else would there be if you're not spending it in the ecosystem? And you are right. I mean, if you go into other ecosystems, yeah, you say you issue a token, and then on Cardano and Nervos, whatever, they will, they're not paying, they're not raising money in USDT or USDC. They're raising money in ADA. They're using money in CKB. If you do a launch on one of those ecosystems, so somebody's spending their ADA to buy Palm, for example, right? Somebody spent RS Erg to buy Palm as well, and that was great.
People,
I was really, I was really, really happy with that. But yeah, I mean, Blitz has been working on this thing for years, and it's an amazing, beautiful game that he's created. It's just, the art is amazing, the play is really cool. I mean, it's a great product. So why not spend your erg on a great product from inside the Ergo ecosystem? That's what I say, and not just on Blitz, but I'm just giving you Blitz as an example. Yeah, so I really hope that the sentiment of the community changes to where you understand that if this is a cryptocurrency, you have to use the currency for something, for there to be a current of finance going through the ecosystem, or else it just becomes like it's useless. It just sits there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
And people are hesitant too, because they're like, oh, if I spend it on a token, that token might not raise in value as much. But from what I've seen, unless somebody's actively selling the token as the price of ERG goes up, then the trading pair remains intact, essentially. So, I mean, it's half a dozen of one, six of the other kind of thing. And, there are tokens that have different spreads here in the ecosystem, even than ERG. So you'll see Rosen may go a little up further than ERG sometimes, or drop a little lower than ERG sometimes. People are passing that around. But for the most part, yeah, sorry,
there's actually a comment from Big 3D. So he says, you're asking me to spend ERG when I bought it at $8 per ERG, where now it is only $1.2 per ERG. Doesn't make sense. Price needs to go up to make it worth spending. Well, I'm sorry, but that's just the wrong way to think about it. We're not thinking about in dollars here. Are you thinking? I mean, we're talking about spending it on a product solely created within the Ergo ecosystem. So you can't go back and forth with dollar value. You have to go and look at the product. Do you think that the product that, say, Blitz, again, bringing him in as an example, the product that Blitz offers is worth the amount of ERG that he's asking for? He's not asking for dollars. He's asking for ERG. Now, if you don't feel that it's worth that much ERG, that's something else. But if you're valuing it, with dollars, I mean, I just don't see that as being the right way to look at it. I don't know what your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I think all projects. I think all projects on Ergo are undervalued, just like ERG. You have people that said the same thing that Big 3D is saying right now when Rosen launched. And look at Rosen now. And Rosen now, in my mind, is still in its infancy of that kind of discovery. So yeah. And same with all this thing. Blitz in its infancy. Cyberverse absolutely in its infancy. All these things. Greasy Sex in its infancy. Comet in its infancy. I mean, you guys saw what happened to Comet when Cardano came over and poked it a little bit for a little bit. I mean, holy shit. To sit there and say, I don't want to invest, $8, $9 erg into ecosystem projects because I spent $8 on it. You gotta think a little bit differently, the big 3D. I'm not insulting you whatsoever. I'm just saying that when,
Yeah, no, I
you
mean,
know, of
it's look, to each their own. I mean, it's your erg, but I'm just saying,
course,
as
of
far as I'm
course.
concerned, that is the, I mean, that is not the right way to think about it, because it's like, it's all about perceived value of the product, right? So does the product, do you think the product is worth that? And again, if you don't think the product is worth the amount of erg, that's something different. But if you're saying, well, erg was this much, but now it's this much, and that's why I don't want to spend it inside the ecosystem, where it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, it's kind of, one, somebody else said one erg equals one erg. So we have to start thinking about that if we're talking about inner ecosystem products as a, as amounts of erg versus amounts of dollars or yen or whatever else. And like I said, again, it's about the value of the product. If that is your decision because you think the value of the product is not worth it, again, your prerogative. But then again, you might want to communicate that to the project, to the project founder, and say, look, I don't feel like your product is worth to pay 10 erg or whatever, 20 erg per. I mean, actually, I don't know how much Blitz charges for his card packs, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's worth 20 erg, or I don't think it's worth 10 erg. And then you make a point, you say it's just because I don't feel like it, or I think you could do better. If there was this and this and this, I would consider spending 10 or 20 erg on it. So, I mean, that's just the way I think it should be communicated within the ecosystem.
Yeah, I agree. I think people shouldn't be afraid to offer, constructive feedback, not your product sucks, I'm not spending that much, but say, hey, my DCA on erg is 10 erg a month, and spending 2.5 ergs on a common blitz pack is a little bit much for me. Or saying something like in Cyberverse, same kind of thing. So that kind of feedback, I'm sure, is very appreciative, but not, screw that, I'm not going to spend that kind of thing.
Yeah, like that. I mean, that's exactly, like, literally, that is the point. It's your prerogative to say that this product is not worth it. It's also your prerogative to suggest what would make it worth that much money. So that's it. Like that's all I'm saying, is that the rest of it is just inconsequential. And I know for people that's a pain point, because they might have gotten in dollar wise, fiat to erg at a higher price, and now they're saying, oh well, I'm gonna, if I spend this much, I'm not. But are you really getting the value? Like, for example, I'll tell you. I mean, just talking about fiat, right? I go to the U.S. I mean, the U.S. is really expensive now. It really has gone up, and even for the people that live in the U.S., it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's not because I don't live in the U.S. But for example, I'll give you an example, right? I go in Japan, and I kind of have my favorite Starbucks thing. It's a venti latte with a shot of espresso. That's like my thing, right? I get that quite often. And when I went to the US, I paid like $8 or something, or $9 for it, right? In Japan, I pay 4, because the conversion rate is, the yen is so cheap now. The yen is 100. It's 155 yen to the dollar. It's $4, right? But in Japan, right? In Japan, it's not $4. It is actually 700 yen. Right. And so you have to think about it like that. Well, for me, it's $4 because my money is in USD denominations. Right. I don't really keep much of it in Japanese yen because of the yen being so weak. But that's what you think about. Right. So I look at it and I say, yeah, I mean, that's bullshit. Like, for me, that's bullshit. That's like half price. But for somebody who's Japanese, that's not bullshit. That's actually kind of expensive, because you got people here making what, like 300,000 yen on an average. The middle class makes like 300,000 yen per month, which is about $2,000 a month. And so for them, that's not, but again, perceived value. So in yen, does it make sense for you to pay 600 yen for that cup of coffee, or 700 yen for that cup of coffee, versus saying, oh, well, that coffee's only $4. For me, it's worth it. For them, it's not. And so that's kind of and I mean, I guess that's how value works, right? So again, going back to the Ergo ecosystem, if we think about it in dollar denomination, well, yeah, you start thinking about it. Well, he wants 10 erg for this. I bet that's $80 for me, right? But right now it's actually like whatever it is, $12. I mean, I'm losing whatever it is, $68, right? Yes and no. You know what I mean? Because is that cup worth it for you, or is that not worth it for you? And again, we can go around in circles, but that's just how I kind of start. I feel like that, and not just about Ergo, but about a lot of crypto, because a lot of crypto, the problem with a lot of crypto is just that, people kind of look at it still based on the dollar value of it. And most of this crypto, and this is why the Ergo ecosystem is so great, because we do have products here. We do have ways to utilize Erg within the ecosystem. Yep. Most ecosystems don't. It's just a bullshit cash grab, right? It's you launch. I mean, look, like let's face it. Most of these L1s and L2s that are being launched by all these centralized exchanges are bullshit. They're like, what is the point? What is the point? You're not providing any innovation. We know why they're doing it is because people will go there because they think that if you build on their L1 or L2, you'll get listed on that exchange. And again, it's not completely blanket across the board, but pretty much all of them, I see them like, oh, this one's got its own L1 crypto, this one has got its own L2 crypto. Like, for what? Like, why does, why do they have that? But it's for the most part, it's just a cash grab. That's all it is. There is no reason for it to exist. No real reason for it to exist. Yep. Where there is a real reason for Ergo to exist, there really is. And it's beyond just how much fiat can you put in, how much fiat you can put out, but it's about powering the ecosystem.
Yep, I agree. I think people think, oh, there's, Ergo will speak for itself and go out and increase in value. But they totally miss the point that you can't have a hollow ecosystem, and make it successful. You have to have substance in the ecosystem. We don't have venture capitalists to pump money into an empty, hollow, ghost town of an ecosystem. So Ergo needs to develop great DApps. They need to succeed, and they need to offer something to the world. It can't just be Kushti making Chain Cash or Cheese making Sigmafy with Captain Nemo or Crass Events making duck pools with Quokka. It just can't be a couple things like that. You need a healthy, robust ecosystem, and we need to support that. And a lot of times when people say, like what Big 3D said, I spent $8 on Erg and you asked me to buy something with, when Erg is 1.2. Well, the good news is you can buy Erg now at that price. So when Erg takes another direction at some point in the future, you're going to be up that much to make the difference. So it's equal both ways. If you're DCAing instead of taking out a mortgage and dumping it in at $8 and then not DCAing ever again, if you're splitting up your purchases, with some sort of mindfulness and tastefulness, you'll get that price as it goes down, you'll get the price as it goes up, and the differences should be able to equal themselves out. So you say to me, look, I'm not going to buy it with $8. I would say, I've been DCAing in so long, I started buying Erg at $15, and I am DCAing in so much that I think my buy-in is like $1.50 now or $2 just from doing it so much, from DCAing so much and repetitively. So my challenge to the Ergo ecosystem for using DApps is take your dollar cost averaging, take your monthly Erg purchase or whatever you do, if you do it every couple times a month or whatever, and put a little bit into ecosystem DApps, like 5%. Take if you DCA in $10, put in put in a buck or two into, or a buck, I guess would be 10%. Put in a buck into one of the DApp projects, or if you DCA in $1,000 a month, put $50 into the DApps. Pick one. If you don't think that's enough of an impact, then pick one and rotate, throughout the thing. But I think key to survival of Ergo is having a healthy DApp ecosystem, and we can't do that if people are too afraid to spend their ergs. I guess in short.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And in Cardano, actually, kind of the same thing is starting to happen as far as people spending their ADA and in turn actually making more ADA. Like for example, with with all the ecosystem tokens, right? There's actually quite a few people that spend their money on their or spend their ADA on ecosystem tokens. And now they actually have more ADA they can take out of it because see, those ecosystem tokens went up in ADA,
Exactly.
in the value of ADA. So the same thing can happen with Ergo. I mean, if like you said, the ecosystem is healthy, there's projects out there, there's new tokens being launched in the ecosystem. It can and with Rosen we can bring those tokens into the Ergo ecosystem, right? We can, as long as there's utility for them in the Ergo ecosystem. Then there's, because like, for example, I'll give you an example just with Palm. We're going to be we are bringing Palm into the Ergo ecosystem because we're going to be utilizing Ergo components. So we have to pay in Erg, right? We have to pay it in Erg, or we have to pay it in Babel fees that are based on Ergo. The same can happen with other tokens that are in other ecosystems that are bridged with Rosen, and vice versa. And I mean, of course, like right now, like you said, we don't have that many options. So yeah, you might feel that, okay, well, I paid this much fiat for Erg, but now it's actually this much fiat, but I have to pay for this. I don't want to do that. Yeah, that's fair, right? That's kind of a personal thing. If we have more options, if you actually see other people saying, hey, you know what, I actually went in on this project and now I'm up in Erg, that makes sense. And in Cardano, that's actually a thing now. People that put money into or put ADA into Axo, into Book, into all these other ones, right? Um, they're doing pretty damn good right now because those things went up. World Mobile, like
Yeah, right.
those tokens just they went up. You got more ADA now because your token was your ADA was spent on an inner ecosystem token, inner ecosystem product. And the same thing can happen with Blitz, for example, right? So those card packs, I mean, they're collectibles, right? So those card packs, collectibles go up in value. That's what they do. If it's a good collectible, it goes up in value.
There are people holding the packs too without opening them and hopes to speculate on that in the future, which is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, so there you go. So there you go. I mean, there is definitely a pretty direct chance for you to spend Erg on Blitz's card packs, and then get more Erg out once you want to part with that card pack down the line when that card pack is actually up in value. So, yeah. I just like thinking about it like that. It feels more satisfying to think about it like that.
Yeah, the big 3D says the way he sees it, until Ergo gains popularity and value, everything built on Ergo can't grow. I disagree again, and that's my opinion, the big 3D. I think we have the power. We have enough people in the ecosystem to provide for the projects to be healthy and robust and active. There's enough people here and there's enough Ergo in the ecosystem to do that. And once that happens and people see that Ergo has these, amazing DApps that a ton of people use, and there's millions of dollars of TVL in Sigmafy or duck pools, and there's, 500 people on Cyberverse, that kind of stuff. Once people see that, that kind of stuff's hard to ignore, and that brings other people in. So I think you're doing a little chicken before the egg kind of thing, the big 3D, and that's a hard question to answer. But in my opinion, Ergo will gain popularity once, we have that robust ecosystem and supporting a DApps. I think we can't rely on just a skeleton of Ergo with DApps that can't afford to run because people don't want to spend their ergs on them. That is definitely, in my mind, not the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
We need to support the people here. We need to support the projects and put your ergs there. I mean, unless somebody is actively dumping a project token as the price of erg increases, the swap pair is going to remain pretty much the same as the value goes up. So the value of your ecosystem will go up as the value of erg goes up. So, people really need to think of that way too. Yeah. Yeah, I won't get on my kick. I won't I won't get on my kick about dumping every 5% increase that I see sometimes by people. But we'll cover that on another day.
Yeah. No, it's growing pains, I think,
It is, yeah.
And I think actually, I mean, look, from when I just joined the ecosystem to now, I mean, it's exponential. You know, the growth has been exponential. And I forgot what I saw. I saw it a few days ago. The sentiment about how, you know, it's been so long, and Ergo is never going to go back up to whatever it was. I mean, again, they were talking about you know, fiat value or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just stupid. It just is, right? Unless there's some sort of a cataclysmic black swan event that stops Ergo from being, Ergo is on an exponential curve of growth right now.
It's
We have
inevitable. I see Ergo as.
more projects, more products coming out of Ergo right now. I mean, not everything reflects price, action, and fiat, you know, because people always try to value it against that. And again, that is something that I mean, I understand why they do it. I understand that. But it is just not the right way to do it, because you cannot value, I mean, partially you can. Okay, so I'll give it that. There's a fragment that you can value. You can look at the market cap and say, okay, you know, that gives me some information. But the bulk of the information comes from actually in the inner ecosystem. Is it growing? Is it blossoming? Is there more useful stuff in the ecosystem? Yes, there is. Versus 2 years ago, yes, there is. So why would we not be at a higher whatever now with all this growth? I mean, there's just no reason, unless you don't believe that these are good products. And if they're not, then have your voice heard. That's also what I'm saying, right? Because it's okay to not be okay with what's going on in the ecosystem as far as the build. But you really have to be vocal about it and say, look, you go to the SIGs, you go to the EF, you go on our social media, on Telegram, on Discord, which I hate very much, but not our Discord. I just dislike Discord in general. But anyway, I deal with it, you know, like hereditary baldness. And just say something, you know, say something. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some people are going to be pissed off at you because they like the stuff. But again, like that's how these things happen, right? You can't just magically wish it into being.
Yeah, most of these things
there have to be, you know, discussions. There have to be arguments.
Yep.
There has to be solutions.
Yeah. I mean, most of these things too have most of these DApps have suggestion channels as well. Cyberverse, I know, has a features or suggestion channel that they're looking for community feedback, all those kind of things. And there's constructive ways to offer feedback as well. I just want people to remember that it's easy to bitch and moan behind a keyboard without a face and a username that doesn't reflect your actual name. But you know, it doesn't mean you can't be constructive. If you really want to see a DApp succeed or a project succeed, then invest in it. I mean, you have an opportunity here to be, you know, on the ground floor in some of these things. I mean, what chance, you know, you go on Robinhood, you know, and you throw some USD at some company, they don't give a fuck who you are. Who are you, right? It doesn't matter. You're just investing in the thing. Here, you support a project, you invest in it, and you have the drive and the incentive to actually see it succeed and see it do better. What other places can you do that? So I think that's a unique thing about Ergo that makes me like it. I try to support the ecosystem projects, and I try to involve myself in them and assist them any way I can as far as that goes. So I think Ergo would be a much more robust place if people would start thinking about DApps as an integral part of the Ergo ecosystem. And even if, you know, the big 3D, even if you say, you know, I'm not going to spend my $8 ergs on this because it's worth $1.20 something right now. Don't then, you know, keep those $8 ergs in a separate wallet and go in for some new ergs, you know, if you can, a couple new ergs, and spend those cheaper 1.2 ergs. If that's your thought process, the big 3D. And if it's not one erg equals one erg, then keep those separate in separate wallets, depending on what price they were at the point. DCA, and again, then you're only spending $1. I think that's why Blitz put dollar amounts. He doesn't have it for sale by ergs. He's got SIG USD and erg that you can buy Blitz packs, but he lists the price in dollars. So it's like $5, $10, and $15. So
Mhm.
it was funny. At first I was looking at it and I was like, oh, $5, that's, in my head, I was like, oh, that's 5 ergs. That's like $8. I was like, oh, okay. Then I look and I was like, oh, it's $5. That's only, 3.5 ergs or 4 ergs. Yeah, that's great. So it was a nice little mind fuck kind of thing that he did there. I'm sure he did it on purpose, that he listed in US dollars, which was neat. All right, we got time for questions, Dan.
Yeah, we got a couple more here. Let's take a quick segue into this without. I mean, it's obviously it's been trending, but without going, to one or the other side. Let's maybe, get into this a little bit. What are your thoughts on U.S. politics shift in crypto sentiment? So again, without actually, kind of displaying specific political sides, right? Just as an observer, if say I came from the moon. Okay, so there's a few things here. There is obviously they obviously are no. It's obviously an issue for this election, which is a good thing because in previous elections it just really wasn't at all. Like not really, not at all. Only these kind of fringe candidates were speaking about crypto. The big boys weren't speaking about crypto. Regulation was, back even in 2016, 2015, 2017, regulation was not really even thought about because they had other things on their plates, political fights and whatever. Now it's an issue. Right now, it's something that they see is big enough. So that is good because we are big enough for there to be a House vote on a crypto bill, right? On a designation of decentralization. There is enough. There's enough. I guess enough voices out there for there to be several candidates taking crypto as donations, right? Again, this is nouveau. I think it's really the first time, the mainstream candidates really ever took crypto. I don't think they took crypto before. I don't think in the last election anybody actually took crypto. I mean, I might be mistaken, but I mean, I know I think some of the, like some of the third party candidates took crypto, but the big twos, I don't think they did it. This time around they are. So I think it's good. I also think it's tricky because now it's become a political issue. They're going to use it for their own, they're like their own devices. Mm-hmm. And it could easily derail into something really shitty. So that's just my observation. It's good that it's being noticed. It's also a little unnerving that it's being noticed this much because it's obviously going to be, it's obviously very easily weaponized. It's an easily weaponizable issue. And you also have to think about who is not for crypto, who is not pro crypto. Right. So it's an interesting time, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the next year or two for this. For actually, I mean, are there going to be real regulations in place that are going to be enforceable? That is going to be, is crypto going to become mainstream? Is there going to be mainstream regulatory clarity for it so you don't have to worry about going to jail for issuing an illegal financial instrument? So, I mean, that's just my observation. I don't know what you're thinking about that, QX.
Yeah, I think it's kind of bullshit that's everything's so cloudy and it's intentionally cloudy, at least in the US, to where they can, decide, at their leisure, who's broken these laws that they can't even state, kind of thing. So that's a bunch of horseshit. So, and then the other thing is, the other two things they're, as you said, they're going to weaponize it like crazy. If they can see that they can get, 50,000 voters in a swing state because they can say, oh, we love crypto. I guarantee it's full of shit. It's just like the abortion issue. It's just like single topic voters kind of thing. They're just playing the shit out of you guys. So you always have to look at those things skeptically. And thirdly, What was my third thing? Oh, thirdly, these people will not give up control or power voluntarily. They will not embrace crypto until they absolutely have to, or unless they actually can control it. So we may get lucky and have the bigwigs try to control something and get their fingers into something like Ethereum or some other big chains that they can regulate the hell out of and that kind of thing. And Ergo, my hope, flies under the radar as a proof of work, unstoppable thing that kind of slides by on the rules where we're not breaking anything, but still is usable and out of their control. Yeah, I mean, good luck trying to come in and control Ergo as far as that goes. With that kind of stuff.
I mean,
I'll say you talk to our buddy Mark at buy, right?
Yeah. Anyway, let's take one last question about what it is you do here, QX. So,
Nothing.
any updates? And you're not sure if it was yours idea for Sigmalock. I think that sounds really cool.
Sigmalock. Yeah, Sigmalock was this idea that we pitched at the SIGS meeting and got funded. Essentially, it's a self-safe lock as well as a system that can kind of work as a beneficiary system. So you can go to the website, you would be able to lock up any ERG, any token for an amount of time. And you're given an NFT, and that NFT is the only thing that can unlock it. So you could send that NFT to your child, essentially, and after the time lock that you put in, they would be able to open it. There's also fail safes that I've asked them to write in as well, and that means that I can go to the site, I can generate the NFT deposit with a time lock as well. But then I have my key, which is my own wallet. So then it's bound to my wallet. So if something happens in the family tree that, makes it unforgivable where you don't want to leave these funds, or somebody passes or something younger than you, unfortunately, and the funds don't go to anybody because that NFT is unrecoverable, then I can still unlock it with my authority, the governing address kind of thing. So there are a couple options there. So that is, last I knew, I think Four Eyes Consulting is who we hired to do it. That would be LGD and MG Pi. It's still in their work queue to do. I don't think it's that difficult to do. But we should have it soon, I hope. Maybe they're watching this and maybe they're like, oh shit, somebody just called us out. So Four Eyes, get your shit together. Ignore any of Dan's Palmyra dev requests and work on Sigmalock, please.
Really?
Did you know they have their own consulting, Dan? Maybe you should shut that down. You should buy it and shut it down.
well, MG Pi and Luca Brazzi. I think it's time for a evening dev meeting with the boss.
Oh, those poor guys. Yeah, so we're really excited about that. Next up is somebody asked Ergo Hack as well. What we're excited about. I entered it twice. Once with Mark the Shark in Canon on developing a novel way of getting miners to be able to change their configs and payouts, essentially allowing miners to pay out, mine ERG and pay out in a wrap token. The idea is that if you go to the mining stats pool, you'll look at the top and you'll see the top pool, DX pool, says mine Ergo, get Bitcoin. So you have like 3 terahash of users dumping right to Bitcoin. So the idea is, look, these people want Bitcoin. They want the store of value. So why don't we try to at least keep them unchained somehow? So the idea is we're trying to develop a novel way to use NFTs in the mining wallet to signify what they want to be paid out at and what threshold it is. Then we have to design the backend system, essentially kind of like a guap swap, to pay out in Rose in Bitcoin or Rose in Ethereum or Rose in ADA. So you could mine Ergo, you could mine Erg and get paid in a proof of stake chain, which is pretty neat. And then the hope is that they hold on to those a little longer than they would before if they just had the other token, because it is a one-to-one value considering Rose and Swap. and maybe stay in the ecosystem a little longer. So that's one of the projects that I'm doing. The other projects that I'm going to try to do is more of a proof of concept of how ephemeral messaging will go, and that's essentially SMS messaging or direct messaging on chain using a combination of NFTs and the mempool. So you don't have to wait 2-minute block times. A message that I send to you, Dan, will pop up in your little messaging app immediately as soon as it hits your mempool, and then there'll be incentive for people to mine it, to burn it as well. So that it goes away forever, kind of thing, and doesn't clog up the chain. So I'm working on a little proof of concept for that using P2PK addresses instead of smart contracts, just to get it out the door to see how it works and looks. And I'm trying to get Riva, if you guys have watched the dev updates, she's a Python dev and does some other coding to work on the app itself, the messaging app. So I'll do all the back end stuff, and hopefully I can convince her to do the front end stuff. If not, then front end stuff will be ChatGPT. But I'm hoping that she, I'm hoping that she joins me in that endeavor. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you check the Ergo Twitter, there's 3 or 4 things that they posted already to give hints about what people are doing. Kushi's got a fun thing happening. LGD, I think, or MG Pi does. Dan, you better curtail that. He's going to be busy all week. He's not going to answer your dev requests for Palmyra if he's working on the Ergo hack.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. We'll see about that.
We got 3 minutes, and I have to go to. I'm sitting helping somebody with an interview process at my in real life job. So we've got 3 minutes before we have to wrap this up.
All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. That's a nice question to kind of send it off with. Do we think Uniswap will help the daily volume of Ergo? I believe so. I think that, and in fact, I remember Alex saying the same thing. I think Alex at one of the not dev updates, one of the AMAs said that he believes that ultimately Uniswap will be the biggest exchange for Ergo. I believe that as well. I think it's, and that's why I can't wait for the EVM bridge to go online. I was just talking to Mo today about that, MHS Sam. About that, just gonna say, come on, man, I want to use the thing. I'm selfish in my ways because I want to use it for Palmyra, but I just want it to be out, it's soon TM. Once that happens, though, I really do believe that there is going to be quite a bit of traffic going through Uniswap. And you know what? I want to kind of address this thing that people say, well, you're just going to suck out liquidity from Ergo and put it on Ethereum, right? No, I don't think that's going to happen. And the reason why is because if you look at all the tokens on Ethereum, right? So yes, people sell their tokens for ETH, but quite a few of them they keep in that token, right? So what is there more of? Token trading or tokens being sold for ETH? Of course, there's token trading, or else there wouldn't be a Uniswap. There is no reason for a Uniswap to exist if you just dump everything into ETH, right? You just all you just do is transact into ETH. So I think personally, I think that if we put Ergo on there, it'll just give it a wider volume, a wider market. And I mean, yeah, of course, a little bit of it is going to get dumped into ETH, but not that much. I think it'll actually do a hell of a lot more good than the other way. So, I mean, that's just what I think about it. What do you think, QX?
Yeah, I think we saw a good example when Lithium, right? The majority of their volume when they opened up was to with their bridge was through Uniswap. So hopefully we can take what we learned from observing that and apply it here. Although, again, I want to remind everybody, Ergo is its own special animal. We don't have that kind of VC dump or those available back-end tokens that we can sell to people and then have the market kind of clayed or warped into what they desire it to be. So it's going to be different, that's for sure. But yes, I totally agree. I think Uniswap will open up that kind of volume that hopefully we've been hoping for there.
Yeah, I mean, it all boils down to do we have that wider market appeal or not? I believe that we do. And I believe that opening up Ergo to that wider market that is on EVM. I mean, I'm not talking about opening it up to as much EVM, turning it into EVM, but to really kind of like exposing EVM to what Ergo has to offer is going to be is going to be a big thing for us. And I'm just really looking forward to that. It's going to give us a lot more versatility. It's going to give us a lot more ease of transferability of use, portability. All these things are good.
Yep, I agree. Well, that's
Anyway,
good. That's a good way to end it, Dan.
yeah, it is a good way to end it. I think, we're right there on time. So I guess we will be wrapping it up for this evening or this morning, wherever you are in the world, or this afternoon, or
It's
this
morning for
night.
you now, right? Is it 12:01?
Yeah, it is. No, it's actually 11:01. We don't have daylight savings time in Asia.
Oh, you're smart. Yeah, yeah. Stupid Americans.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm 2 minutes.
yeah.
I'm 2 minutes late to my meeting. Thank you so much,
Stupid
everybody.
Westerners. Okay, anyway, QX has got to run to his meeting,
Yeah,
right,
meeting.
with the porcelain gods. And so this is Dan, barely alive from Japan. Well, alive from Japan, not barely. I'm okay today. Signing off.
Ciao. I guess we lost.